How two-factor authentication works and why you need it right now. Hi, everyone. Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. We rely on passwords to protect our online security. At the same time, hackers seem to be getting better at figuring them out. In response, security folks created something called two-factor or multi-factor authentication, which uses two different types of information. Together, they prove you are who you say you are and give you access to your account. Two-factor authentication keeps your account secure even if your password is compromised. It's something that I strongly suggest you use. The word authentication gets thrown around a lot. All it really means is it's a way to prove that you are who you say you are. It validates that you are authentically you and not some imposter, like a hacker. It's important because once you've proven you are who you say you are, you get the right to use the thing that are yours. Once you prove you are you, for example, you're allowed to access your email account, as just one example. In person, we use physical things like a photo ID to prove we are who we say we are. Online, things are a little bit more difficult. So authentication has almost always been in the form of something you know. You know your username and the password that goes with it. Since only you should know your password, your ability to type it in proves you must be you and no one else. If you forget your password, the answer to a set of security questions might be used instead, which still boils down to some things you, and hopefully only you, know. Something you know is easy to transfer from one person to another. When it's on purpose, that's okay, although it is less than secure. When someone who shouldn't know your password learns it, something you know becomes something they know too. The result? Well, they can impersonate you and sign into your account. Two-factor authentication prevents that from happening. Two-factor authentication typically adds something you have to how you prove you are you. When it comes time to authenticate, you need two things. Something you know. You must know your username and the password that, again, only you should know. And then something you have. You must possess something specific that is also unique to you. Now, how you go about proving you have something in your possession is pretty hard to do securely until you factor in encryption. For example, what you have might be a smartphone running an application that has been associated with your account using encryption. I'll talk about that more in just a moment. There's an additional factor, sometimes combined with a password and sometimes even a password plus something you have, something you are. Most commonly, this is the biometric data, like your fingerprint or your face, which in theory are unique to you. When it comes time to authenticate, you again need two things. Something you know, your username and the password. Something you are. In other words, you would provide your fingerprint or allow a facial scan. Using fingerprints or Face ID is actually fairly common, though they're often also used by themselves as a single factor. Only when combined with something you know, or perhaps something you have, is it truly considered multi-factor. Now, the most common approaches to proving what you have are a Google Authenticator or text-based two-factor authentication using your smartphone. Many people install the Google Authenticator app or an app compatible with it. Works like this. You install the Google Authenticator app on your smartphone. You associate the authenticator with your online account. This is a setup process usually done by scanning a QR code provided by that setup process for that account, or by entering a code that's displayed. The app on your phone now begins displaying a 6-digit random number that changes every 30 seconds. As an example, here's my Proton Authenticator, which is a Google Authenticator compatible authentication app. You can see that it's displaying a 6-digit number, and there's a countdown. Every 30 seconds, that number is going to change. In reality, that number isn't random at all. It's a complicated function of encryption keys that were created and set up as part of that process you just completed that associated that application with your account. It's unique to your account and your smartphone. Only the app and the service know what number should be at any point in time. If you type in the number provided by the app when requested by the service, it proves you have the device that's running the app. In this case, your two factors are something you know, the username and password to your account, which you prove you know by typing them in as usual, and then something you have, your device, which you prove you have by entering the number displayed by the Authenticator app when requested. Your login process now requires you to provide your username and password and then provide the random number being displayed by your smartphone. Either one of those by itself is not enough. Now, an alternative for those that don't have a smartphone or who just prefer it is to use text messaging, SMS, to prove that you have your phone. Setup is simple. You give your mobile number to the service and then tell them you want to use it for two-factor authentication. Your two factors are, in this case, again, something you know, username and password, something you have, your phone, which you prove you have by entering in the random number that was text messaged to you when you try to log in. Your login process now requires that you provide your password and the number texted to your phone. Some systems do allow automated voice readout of the number, meaning you don't even really need to use texting at all. It's not common, but in this case, you don't need to have a mobile phone. A landline will do. When you try to log in, a voice call is made to your phone number and an automated system reads you the number you need to type in. While there are occasional stories of SMS being hacked, the reality, this is important, is that using SMS two-factor is still significantly more secure than not using two-factor at all. All right. The next question I typically field is, you mean I have to do this annoying thing every time I log in? No, that's actually what's kind of cool about the way things are set up. After you sign in once using two-factor authentication on a specific device, most services will let you set how often that second factor will be required. You usually have a few options. Never again on this computer. This means that this computer's trusted. You've logged into it once, you've proven you are who you are, and now you can log into it again and again without needing that second factor. Clearing cookies usually resets this setting. Every so often on this computer. This usually means that the service won't ask for that second factor again for some number of days, typically 30. And again, clearing cookies will usually reset this too. And of course, you usually have the option to always ask, which means that yes, two-factor authentication is always required every time you log in. That lets you tailor just how aggressive you want two-factor authentication to be. On a computer at home, you might never use 2FA after the first login. But on a mobile device or a laptop you travel with, you might require it to always be used in case you lose the laptop. That's what I do. Another question. Why would I choose never ask again? Well, never ask again can apply only to a computer on which you have already successfully used two-factor at least once. On any computer you've never used, or any browser that you've not used, two-factor authentication will always be required at least once. That means that the computer of a hacker who has stolen your password, they can't get in. This is how two-factor authentication keeps you secure. Again, even if they know your password, hackers cannot log in if you've got two-factor authentication enabled. What happens if I lose my phone or other two-factor device? When you set up your account with something like Google Authenticator, you're also given a set of one-time passwords or recovery codes. Save those somewhere secure. You could log in with each of those passwords exactly once without requiring your second factor. So, after losing your second factor, it looks like this. You would log in using a one-time password instead of your second factor. You would then temporarily disable two-factor authentication, You'd probably change your password for safety. You don't have to, but I kind of recommend it at this point. And you would re-enable two-factor authentication, associating a new phone or replacement device. And then, of course, regenerate those backup codes. I save those one-time passwords in an encrypted file. Some services, like Microsoft, also let you set up a recovery code independent of two-factor authentication. I recommend you do that too if you can. If you're using SMS as your two-factor mechanism, recovery can be as simple as going to your mobile provider and getting a replacement phone while keeping your mobile number. SMS two-factor texts are sent to your mobile number, and they will follow you then to your replacement phone. I've got two-factor authentication enabled on all of my accounts that support it, and I recommend you do the same. For me, that means, among other things, my bank, Amazon, Gmail, 1Password, Dropbox, Facebook, Proton, Microsoft, and even my World of Warcraft account. Unfortunately, not every service supports two-factor authentication yet. You'll also find that in addition to or instead of the two common methods I mentioned above, Google Authenticator and text messaging, some services have other approaches to two-factor. Facebook allows you to use the Facebook mobile app to provide the code. Some services provide keychain fobs that display a randomly changing number, and other services support using devices like the USB-based YubiKey. Pick what makes the most sense for you, but add two-factor authentication to increase the security of your most important accounts, if not all of them. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/16401. I'm Leo Notenboom, not an AI. This is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.